それでは最後
Ladies and gentlemen, and last but not least, we have Chairman of FinCity.Tokyo, Mr. Hiroshi Nakaso, who will be giving a summary. The floor is yours, sir.
I am Nakaso. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today at the FinCity Global Forum hosted by FinCity.Tokyo. I would like to express my deepest appreciation. Thank you for being with us for so many hours. I listened to all the panels and discussions from the beginning to end. It was rich in content and very inspiring. It was indeed a significant, meaningful forum. Thank you for your attendance. Now, as I provide the summary, I would like to first express our sincere gratitude to Governor Koike of Tokyo for her opening remarks, Deputy Chief Cabinet Secretary Kihara, and Cabinet Office State Minister Fujimaru for accepting to deliver keynote speeches. We would also like to take this opportunity to thank the panelists and the moderators for each of the panel. My sincere thanks. So, in this year's FinCity Global Forum, we focused on transition finance, and we invited experts to have discussions on this topic. For a society, in order to smoothly and steadily realize a decarbonized economy, it's necessary for both the public and the private sectors to cooperate in climate transitions based on reasonable standards and with a transparent and consistent approach. And transition finance is expected to play an important role in such efforts, as was confirmed in today's discussions, I believe. So, one of the points repeatedly mentioned today, in the last few years, significant progress has been made in developing a framework for practicing transition finance in Japan. That is my view. In particular, as was mentioned today, in 2021, FSA, METI, and the MOE put together basic guidelines on climate transition finance. And in 2022, METI led the effort in formulating the so-called roadmaps. And in the same year, led by MUFG, Asia Transition Finance guidelines were formulated. And so these all point to the future direction of transition finance, and that is what these are expected to do. And I think that was driven home today. And there were many developments overseas. Geopolitical risks are rising in overseas. And global economy is increasingly fragmented. That risk is rising. Even under those circumstances, I think making progress in understanding and implementing climate transition from the perspective of securing energy supply and harmonizing it with economic growth is progressing. And even the United States, where there have been strong skepticism toward climate change, I think there's growing awareness for the need for transition. So that's where we are today. In relation to the U.S., by the way, in this year's APEC, the U.S. is the president. And there is APEC Business Advisory Council. It's a private sector advisory council. I'm a member of that myself. And at APEC, transition finance is going to be taken up as agenda this year during the APEC meeting. And a task force for financial affairs is set up, and I'm to be the chair of the task force for that. Discussion is already underway, and I do feel that level of commitment on the part of the U.S., that it's very strong. And I think this is a good opportunity for Japan to demonstrate leadership so that we can come out with good, tangible results. I would like to do my very best. As the chair of the working group, Japan has advantage of abundant financial assets, financial innovation, led by diverse players. We're in a position to facilitate climate transition in Japan. but not just in Japan and for Japanese corporations, but we can also offer a place for transition finance to Asian corporations who form a part of our supply chain. We're in such a position. So Japanese financial centers can contribute to Asia. And I think that perspective is going to be very important. So at FinCity.Tokyo, based on this awareness, in order to promote decarbonized economy from a financial perspective, we have seen this transition finance as one of the pillars of our business plan, and we have been engaged in a number of discussions with the relevant parties for this. So in today's FinCity forum, I think this forum has been an important milestone as part of our efforts to develop transition finance as part of our business plan. And today we had 4 panels to engage in discussions. And let me provide you with a summary from my perspective. In the first panel, the focus was on the prospects and challenges of transition finance, approaches and practices in Japan. We need to share understanding with Europe, and at the same time, we need to contribute to Asian initiatives so that Asia can provide global standards. What would be the prospects as well as challenges if that is to happen? That was the focus of the first panel. Throughout the panel discussion, the importance of shifting from divestment to engagement, and the importance of sharing Japan's experience with the rest of Asia, that was driven home. And the EU approach, the taxonomy approach, compared to that, well, Japan's transition approach is different. Of course, there's a difference between the two, but on the other hand, a science-based approach and dynamic perspective, we do have commonalities. We do share some common aspects, which was emphasized in Japan. Developing human resources through recurrent education and developing financial systems through innovation. So the importance of ecosystem was also pointed out. That was the first panel. In the second panel, in major sectors for Japan, roadmaps were developed. And so environment and institutions are developed to push for transition finance. So from a corporate perspective, what would be the challenges and opportunities? That was the focus. In this second panel, so Japan's advanced roadmap approach. Well, in corporations' practice, the roadmap formulated has played an important role, and I think that was confirmed. And hard to abate sectors. In those sectors, corporations are encouraged to embark on a long journey toward decarbonization, requiring 1 trillion yen of investment. So sustainable and stable transition finance to help them do so is particularly crucial, it was pointed out. And the unique situation here in Japan because of severe climate conditions, it is difficult to generate renewables, and given that unique situation, we have to understand what is necessary to promote transition finance. And as corporations respond to climate change requirements, they have to pursue innovation constantly. And at the same time, the investor community and financial institutions, while ensuring appropriate return, they should provide support for the corporations to take on risks. So that was another point that was pointed out. So that was the second panel. And in the third panel?
In the third panel, from a slightly different perspective, we invited indirect finance providers to shed light on challenges and prospects of transition finance. We asked them to make comments on contribution to change the behavior of clients, support towards initiatives taken by SMEs that serve major roles in supply chain and use of fintech solutions. Through the discussions by the panelists, bank-centric Japan in promoting the use of transition finance of clients, information improvement, skill training was shared, and also for fintech companies, efficient data collection and analysis to entice SME transition is necessary. That kind of understanding was deepened, and especially in this context, in order to entice behavioral change at SMEs, visualization of GHG emissions and through change of business model, target and return must be visualized. And those were some of the comments made. And at the same time, from the perspective of transition of global supply chain, partnership between Japan and Asian countries was also cited as an important factor. And in the final fourth panel, transition finance through capital markets was discussed by financial service providers and investors who talked about the challenges and prospects regarding the practice of transition finance. And in that panel, market mechanism and risk allocation and fund allocation, importance of those factors was cited by the panelists. And also from the investor's perspective, transparency of information disclosure as well as rationality are important. That point was shared. But this is a dynamic world, and the environment surrounding transition finance is changing by the minute and by the second. As was discussed, cliff risk being low. In other words, maximization of predictability was pointed out as an important factor. So the practice of transition finance requires is it very important as we strive to achieve a major goal of the society and economy of sustainable society and industrial competitiveness. That notion was shared. And unfortunately, due to constraints of time, one important theme that was not analyzed in depth, although it was touched upon, is carbon trading and the development of a carbon trading market. In other words, if an appropriate carbon transaction framework can be introduced and transparent, fair, and facilitated price formation can be secured, then it would be possible to attach reasonable economic value to initiatives by operating companies and financial institutions for emissions mitigation. And that way, the sustainability of corporate initiatives for emissions reduction can be ensured. Tokyo Stock Exchange has already embarked upon such initiative, but full-fledged emissions trading market is what we aim to achieve. So we hope to contribute. And at the same time, Asia-Pacific region is also a key. So we must seek interconnectivity between the Japanese platform and overseas platforms, especially in the Asia-Pacific. So in Asia-Pacific, whether it be Singapore, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Sydney, wherever you are, of course, wherever you are, including Tokyo, if emissions trading can be done under the same terms and conditions, I think that that would be a major boost to Asia-wide transition. So those are some of the points that were shared. In execution of climate transition, appropriate sharing of funds and risk between stakeholders is necessary. In order for transition finance to live up to the expectations, public and private sector stakeholders must share the changing challenges and play the role that is appropriate in each of its position. And also, we have an in-depth financial system and infrastructure that has been developed to date. So that is a comparative advantage. So a Japanese financial center as such can contribute in a unique way that others cannot do to contribute to the decarbonization of Asia. So by sharing the various perspectives and challenges, at the risk of repeating myself, the discussions by various stakeholders was extremely meaningful. We asked each panelist to finish up with one word at the very end, and each of those words especially left strong impression in my heart. FinCity Global Forum Tokyo has been holding this forum on online basis after the pandemic, which emerged in 2020. And this is the fourth forum, but this is the first time we also invite in-person participants at the venue, in addition to the online viewers. So thank you to the online viewers, as well as to those who have come in person to this venue. And on behalf of the organizer, FinCity.Tokyo, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude. And outside this venue, there's a foyer where snacks will be served. Panelists, participants who came to the FinCity Global Forum, stakeholders of FinCity.Tokyo, please stay on as long as your time allows so that you can network amongst each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With this, we conclude the FinCity Global Forum on Transition Finance Challenges and Opportunities for Tokyo. Some information regarding the questionnaire and networking. For those of you who are in the hall, you will find in your agenda. And for online participants, by reading the QR code on the screen, you'll be able to answer the questionnaire. We look forward to hearing your comments and your opinions. After this, in the foyer, which is located at the entrance of this hall, we'll have a networking event. Please follow instructions of the staff who are standing at the entrance to this hall. We thank you very much for your attendance. Despite your busy schedules, we were very pleased to have such a high level of attendance. Thank you very much.